A day in 2035. Julia opened the office door at 8:30 a.m., the May sun already high above the streets of Milan. Once, her morning routine meant dusting off her desk and making coffee for her colleagues. In 2025, she was an administrative assistant. Today, in 2035, her badge reads Human AI Workflow Facilitator. The lofty title still makes her smile as she sets down her bag. Essentially, her job is to coordinate a hybrid team of humans and artificial intelligences, bridging the gap between human needs and machine efficiency. In the nearly silent open space, Julia greets a human colleague adjusting his augmented reality headset, then nods toward Clara, the support AI who appears as a female avatar on the large wall screen. Clara isn't a person, but Julia and the rest of the team treat her like a co-worker. Every morning, the AI analyzes the latest data and prepares a brief update for everyone. "Good morning, Julia," begins Clara with a surprisingly natural voice. "I have updates on the Atlas project. Overnight, I completed 90% of the pending administrative tasks." Julia waves her hand to scroll through the data projected into the air before her. No more paperwork or tedious data entry. Clara handles all that now, she thinks with relief. This is exactly the kind of job that barely exists anymore. All those secretarial tasks that AI can now manage on its own. "Great, thank you, Clara," she replies, as other colleagues begin to arrive. "Let's get ready for the 9 o'clock meeting. I want to highlight a couple of important points." At 9 o'clock sharp, Julia kicks off the daily team meeting. Some attend in person, others appear via hologram from branch offices in other cities. At the center of the conference room table is a small cylindrical robot with a pulsing light. Clara's physical representation, present as always. Julia moderates. "Good morning, everyone," she begins with energy. "Let's get started. Clara sent the preliminary report last night. Andrea, were you able to review it in the immersive environment?" A full-body hologram of Andrea is seated across the table. He wears thick AR glasses and smiles encouragingly. "Yes, Julia. I reviewed it early this morning," his voice replies through the central speaker. "I've already integrated the data into the 3D prototype for customer service. We can do a demo whenever you're ready." Julia nods in satisfaction. She remembers when Andrea used to work in the call center downstairs, overwhelmed by irate customer calls. Now she sees him designing virtual experiences like a digital architect. A remarkable and well-earned change. The discussion continues with more updates. Confirmation comes from the automated warehouse of a successful delivery, and Clara logs upcoming deadlines into the shared schedule in real time. Julia allows herself a brief moment of silent pride. The room resonates with human and digital voices in harmony. This is her job now, holding that chorus together. For a moment, she feels part of something important, the very evolution of the concept of teamwork. A few kilometers away, Andrea removes his AR glasses and ends the holographic connection. He's physically located in a small studio packed with sensors and screens, his creative lab. He closes his eyes for a moment and inhales deeply. 10 years ago, he never would have imagined working like this. In 2025, he spent his days wearing a headset in a crowded call center, reciting the same script of apologies and instructions over and over. That office doesn't even exist anymore, replaced by chatbots and automated voice assistants that handle customers without human intervention. But Andrea didn't disappear with his old job. He studied, reinvented himself, and now he's an immersive experience specialist. He designs 3D virtual environments for customer support, offering help through virtual reality instead of cold phone calls. He puts on his VR headset and gestures with his hands, bringing up a preview of the digital environment he's creating. The studio walls vanish, replaced by a simulation of a virtual store. Shelves of products float in a bright minimalist space. This is where customers will find themselves when they ask for support. They'll interact with 3D representations of their purchased devices, guided by animated avatars. Andrea walks slowly through the virtual space, checking that every element is in the right place. "Sarah, can you join me too?" he asks aloud. A moment later, an avatar with the company logo appears next to him. It's his colleague from the creative department, connected remotely. "Here I am. I see you," Sarah's voice echoes in the headset. "Try acting like an angry customer with a problem," Andrea says with a playful tone. Sarah's avatar dramatically throws up her arms. "My new kitchen robot doesn't work. I'm going crazy," she complains theatrically. Immediately, a virtual assistant, a cheerful hologram shaped like a small robot with smiling eyes, appears next to her in the simulated world. "I'm sorry for the inconvenience," says the assistant calmly. "Let me show you how to fix it step by step. Follow me." Andrea watches the scene carefully. The AI is performing its role as an interactive guide, leading Sarah's avatar through the reset procedure of the virtual kitchen robot on display. After a few moments, Sarah nods with satisfaction. "It works. The virtual assistant was clear, and the customer, me, didn't have to wait on hold for half an hour," she says enthusiastically. Andrea smiles and takes off the headset, returning to the reality of his studio. On his monitor, Sarah's smiling face appears with a thumbs up. "I'd say we're ready for the official client demo next week." "Yeah," Andrea sighs, wiping away a bead of sweat from the concentration and excitement. "It's incredible how much customer support and our jobs have changed." 10 years ago, we never would have imagined anything like this, agrees Sarah. "Remember how many calls we handled? Now the AI takes care of simple requests, and we get to create experiences like this. I definitely prefer it this way." "Me too," Andrea says, looking at his hands, still trembling slightly from the creative adrenaline. A few hours later, after finishing the final tweaks on the project, Andrea turns off the studio lights. A reminder flashes on his tablet. Public event. The meaning of work in the AI era. He had almost forgotten he'd signed up for that conference. Smiling, he slips the tablet into his bag. "It'll be interesting to hear stories like mine," he thinks as he closes the door behind him. Around lunchtime, under the clear spring sky, Samir pedals slowly along a tree-lined avenue, followed closely by a driverless electric van. He's wearing an orange vest labeled Mentor Co., rider training, and a helmet with a smart visor. In the van behind him, a young trainee named Matteo is monitoring the delivery drones taking off and landing from the roof of the vehicle. It's Matteo's second day of shadowing, and Samir clearly remembers the mix of excitement and nerves from his own early days. "Everything okay back there, Matteo?" Samir asks through the earpiece without slowing his pace. "I think so. Drone number 3 is showing a minor obstacle detection error," the boy's voice responds through the earpiece. Samir gently brakes and turns to check the drone hovering behind the van. It's gripping a narrow box with its support arms, ready to deliver it. A red notification flashes on Samir's visor. Unidentified obstacle. Action required. Probably a new street sign or a protruding branch the drone's map doesn't recognize. "It's fine. Totally normal," Samir says reassuringly. "Let's hop off for a sec and take a look." He pulls over and walks to the van, which has already stopped itself a few meters ahead. Matteo has jumped out and is staring at the stalled drone with concern. A few passers-by watch curiously. This kind of scene isn't science fiction anymore in 2035, but a self-driving vehicle and a hovering drone still make an impression. Samir smiles at the boy. "Look, it happens when the system is unsure. What do we do in these cases?" Matteo quickly checks the control tablet. "We can switch to manual control for a few seconds and guide it around the obstacle, right?" "Exactly," Samir nods. "Go ahead, your turn." The young trainee enters a command and uses a small virtual joystick on his interface to move the drone a few meters to the right, away from the branch that likely confused its sensors. The drone flashes green and resumes its route toward the nearby delivery building. Mateo quietly cheers. It worked! Samir pats him on the shoulder. Great job, see? Working with autonomous systems means being there when they hesitate. We and the machines, we're a team. As the drone completes the delivery and returns, Samir glances at the shop window next door. It's a neighborhood supermarket. He sees customers leaving with full bags and reflects. There's no familiar beeping of cash registers anymore because they're gone. Traditional checkout lines have been replaced by automatic payment systems. 10 years ago, he used to stand behind one of those registers 8 hours a day. An honest but repetitive job, he thinks as he gets back on his bike, now gradually faded away without much noise. But Samir has found a new path. After a few years as a delivery rider, his field experience combined with knowledge of autonomous systems led him to become a rider mentor. His role is to train younger workers like Mateo to collaborate with drones, self-driving vehicles, and warehouse robots. Instead of fearing that these machines will steal human jobs, Samir shows how it's possible to work alongside them, maintaining control and adding that touch of problem-solving that AI still doesn't fully have. Mission accomplished again, he says cheerfully, pedaling off as Mateo climbs back into the van. Next stop, the logistics center. Let's return the van to base. The trainee nods and issues a voice command to recall the drones for landing. In a few minutes, the small convoy is back in motion, heading toward the city's edge. Samir speeds up a little, enjoying the mild breeze on his face. He's always preferred being outdoors to being stuck inside four walls, and now his job allows him that every day. Upon arriving at the logistics center, a vast lot where dozens of other automated vehicles move about like busy ants, Samir signals Mateo to follow him to the debriefing area. As they enter, a friendly voice sounds from the speakers. Welcome back, Team Beta 5. Vehicle parked successfully. Deliveries completed. 12 out of 12. It's the central system greeting them. Mateo looks surprised. It recognizes us as soon as we walk in. Samir laughs. Of course, we've been tracked via GPS the whole time. Real-time data, remember? But come on, let's log a couple of notes about your drone maneuver. As they quickly fill out the digital report in the app, Samir hears his name over the speakers. Samir Khan is requested in meeting room 3. He exchanges a curious glance with Mateo. Wait for me a minute. I'll be right back. He walks briskly toward the offices, intrigued. In the small meeting room, he finds Luca, the logistics network coordinator, who greets him with a warm smile. Luca motions for Samir to enter, and the door closes behind him. I watched your delivery run on the monitor. Nice job with the drone. That was Mateo. He's a fast learner, Samir replies modestly. He's known Luca for a few years now. At first, Samir was a bit intimidated by the older colleague who had once been an old-school postman, but over time he realized Luca is one of those who truly believe in cross-generational collaboration. I have a proposal for you, Luca begins, sitting down. I'm organizing a small demo next week to present our training program to the execs. I'd like you and a couple of your trainees to show live how you work with the drones and vehicles. You up for it? Samir's eyes light up. Absolutely. That'd be fantastic. Great. Luca nods with satisfaction. Then he adds in a different tone. By the way, I'm attending a public event downtown tonight about how work is changing with AI. They'll talk about workforce training too. You might find it interesting. Samir thinks for a moment. He's usually tired in the evenings, but the topic has fascinated him ever since he experienced the transformation firsthand. You know what? I might drop by. Yeah, I'm definitely interested. Luca pats his arm. Perfect. Maybe I'll see you there then. Samir leaves the meeting room with a light heart. He rejoins Mateo and excitedly shares the news about the upcoming demo. As they change and wrap up their day, Samir's thoughts turn to the evening. It'll be a chance to see the bigger picture, to hear how others have experienced what he's been through. He can't wait. Luca remains in the meeting room for a few more minutes after Samir leaves. Through the glass wall, he watches the constant activity at the logistics center, drones returning to their charging bases, conveyor belts sorting packages, electric vehicles departing with fresh deliveries. His experienced eyes follow every movement on the large control screen mounted on the wall, where an interactive city map displays, in real time, the routes of the automated couriers. Once upon a time, that map would have been filled with dots representing mail carriers on bicycles or vans driven by people. Now he sees mostly icons marked AV, autonomous vehicles, moving like a dance choreographed by a central electronic brain. And that brain, Luca thinks, is partly his. In 2025, Luca was stamping parcels and sorting mail by hand in a suburban post office, and 3 times a week he'd deliver mail on foot or by scooter. That world barely exists anymore. Most letters are digital, bills travel online, and the few postmen still around mainly deliver packages, supported by drones in hard-to-reach areas. Many physical post offices have closed or been transformed into automated sorting centers. Luca himself, who once feared he was too old to change, had to completely relearn his trade. With determination, he moved from postal clerk to coordinator of automated logistics networks, putting his field experience and new technical skills to use. He gets up and heads back to his office, a space dominated by a panoramic screen and voice-activated interfaces. "Show me the network status," he says aloud, arms crossed. A summary appears on the screen. Today's deliveries, 1,200 out of 1,350 completed. Route deviations, 3. Human interventions, 1. Resolved. Luca smiles with satisfaction. The human intervention noted is the one carried out by Samir and Matteo just earlier. Despite all the advanced technology, there's still a need for the human touch when the unexpected happens. And he's here to coordinate that too. He opens the intervention log and adds a note of praise for the field operator. He knows how important it is to motivate the team, especially the younger ones who may feel lost amid so many intelligent machines. Around 5 p.m., as most processes wind down and the evening shift begins to take over, Luca closes a few windows on his screen and stretches in his chair. It's been another intense but satisfying day. He grabs his old coat from the hanger. Despite all the changes, it's been with him for 20 years, and checks his smartphone. A reminder notification pops up. Event, The Meaning of Work in the AI Era. 7 p.m., Milan Conference Center. Luca nods to himself. He's glad Samir decided to come too. He turns off the lights and locks his office, stopping to greet a couple of technicians still working on a faulty robotic arm. "Don't stay too late, guys." As he steps out into the sunset, he wonders what the event will bring. Maybe he'll meet people from other sectors with stories like his. Maybe he'll learn something new. After all, you're never too old to keep learning, he thinks, striding toward the metro stop with a confident step. Martina walks between the desks of a bright classroom, observing her students' focused faces. On the back wall, a large interactive screen shows the real-time progress of each individual. Math, reading, science. They're not all working on the same exercise as they did in the past. Each one is following a different path, calibrated by intelligent software based on their needs. Martina has transitioned from being a traditional teacher to the role of an adaptive learning mentor, and the scene before her is the practical proof. In one corner, Luca, a coincidence of names with the logistics coordinator, he's a 12-year-old student, wears headphones and an AR visor. He's exploring a virtual reconstruction of an ancient Roman settlement. His passion is history, and the AI is offering him advanced insights on the topic. A few desks over, Chiara taps her tablet absent-mindedly. The platform is showing her math exercises, but Martina sees her gaze is lost. Martina walks over with a warm smile. "Everything okay, Chiara? You seem a bit stuck." The 12-year-old looks up and shrugs. "I don't get this equation. The AI explained it to me, but I keep getting it wrong." On the screen, some steps are highlighted in red. Martina nods with understanding and sits next to her. Let's take a look together, okay? Tell me what's not making sense. Kiara points to a line in the calculation. Here, I don't get why it moved this number to the other side. Martina takes a digital pen and simplifies the problem on the tablet using language that clicks with Kiara. In just a few minutes, with a couple of concrete examples, she sparks understanding in the girl's eyes. Ah, now I get it, Kiara exclaims, lighting up. Thank you so much. Martina winks. Nice job. You see? Sometimes all it takes is a little human help. She gets up and gives a quick glance at Kiara's screen. A dialog box pops up. Feedback. Was the explanation provided by the virtual assistant helpful? Apparently, the AI tutor is trying to improve its approach. Martina taps, not entirely, human intervention needed, and adds a short voice note. Use real-life examples when explaining. In doing so, she's training the algorithm to improve next time. Correcting homework, explaining fundamentals, giving the same lecture to everyone. Martina reflects on how different her job was back in 2025. Back then, she'd spend afternoons marking tests by hand, and often had to tailor the program to the class average, leaving some behind or boring others. Now, those repetitive tasks are handled by adaptive platforms. Tests are graded automatically, and each student receives personalized exercises. The teacher's old role as a conveyor of knowledge has transformed into something more akin to a coach, or indeed, a mentor. Martina loves this new dimension. She can dedicate her energy to motivating students, sparking curiosity, and stepping in where machines fall short, like with Kiara. When the afternoon bell rings, most students have already completed their daily paths. Some are finishing up interactive quizzes, others hand in their visors and stretch. Well done, everyone! Great work today, announces Martina as they start packing up. See you tomorrow, and don't forget to bring in a tech-related news story that caught your eye. We'll discuss it together. As the students disappear amid chatter and laughter, Martina powers down the class screen with a gesture and gathers her things. A notification pings on her phone from the network of innovative teachers. Tonight at 7 p.m., Main Hall, Polytechnic University, Public Debate. The Meaning of Work in the AI Era. Join the discussion. Martina thinks for a moment, looking around the now empty classroom. She's tired, but events like this fire her up. After all, she lives this transformation every day and knows how important it is to share experiences. Plus, she might bring back fresh ideas to inspire her students. With a confident smile, she slips her tablet into her bag. Tonight's a chance to learn something new, she tells herself, locking the classroom door and heading for her car. In a quiet office on the 4th floor of a modern building, Elena is fine-tuning a document on her screen. In front of her is a 20-page report generated by an artificial intelligence system. Tables, graphs, and text summarizing the quarterly performance of a large client company. Just a few years ago, preparing such a report would have taken days of manual work for her and her accounting colleagues. Now, the AI compiles it in a few hours, pulling from mountains of data. But Elena's role is far from obsolete. As a knowledge augmenter, her job is to give meaning and context to those pages, adding the perspective a machine alone might miss. She scans the section on sales. The generated text is grammatically flawless but sterile. It reads, "Sales in Sector X decreased by 5% compared to the previous quarter." Elena adds at the end, "A drop mainly due to a temporary supply issue in March, since resolved." An important detail the AI hadn't included, as it fell outside its calculation schema, but something decision-makers need to know. A little further down, the report shows a sudden increase in new customers in April. Elena recalls a viral social media campaign around that time. She inserts a note. The increase coincides with the launch of the social campaign, indicating the effectiveness of the new digital strategies. As she integrates this information, her mind drifts to her job 10 years ago. As an accountant, she spent hours rechecking figures, hunting for errors in balance sheets, and filling out tax declarations. Many of those activities have now been automated. AI software can handle accounting and verifications autonomously, and the old paper-stuffed accounting offices are relics of the past. Elena herself once feared her profession would vanish. In part, it has. The way accounting is done has changed radically, and those who didn't keep up had to find new careers. But she sees the chance to evolve. These days, her workday resembles that of an analyst or strategic consultant. She interprets the results generated by machines and enriches them with contextual knowledge, ready to answer executives' questions. Elena, do you have 2 minutes? Marco's voice breaks her train of thought. Her manager is at the door with a friendly smile. Sure, I'm just finishing the report for Visioneck, she replies, inviting him in. Great. I wanted to take a quick look with you. Marco leans over the screen, scrolling through some pages. Very clear. I see you added some targeted explanations. The AI's version was a bit lifeless, huh? Elena nods. Yes, I added a few whys behind the numbers. That way, readers will actually understand what's driving those results. Marco pats her lightly on the shoulder. Excellent work, as always. These are the insights only human experience can provide. Sometimes you remind me of an investigative journalist, you know? Elena chuckles. I do enjoy digging beneath the surface of the numbers. Keep it up. Oh, and I almost forgot. Tonight's that event on the future of work and AI I forwarded you. Have you decided whether to go? Elena nods. Yes, I think I will. The topic hits close to home, you could say. Fantastic. I can't make it, but you'll have to tell me about it afterward. Have a great evening, Elena. Alone again, Elena saves the final version of the report and sends it to the client with a final click. She powers down her computer, straightens the few remaining paper files, nearly everything is digital now, and puts on her coat. She's going to the event not just out of professional curiosity, but with a touch of personal emotion. After all, her life story is part of what's being discussed tonight. As she closes her office door, she feels proud to have become an active player in this new chapter of the working world. That evening, the grand hall of the Milan Conference Center hums with voices and softly glowing lights. The event, The Meaning of Work in the AI Era, has drawn dozens of people, workers from various sectors, curious citizens, students. After a series of on-stage talks and a lively panel discussion, it's time for the networking aperitivo. Julia holds a glass of juice, observing the buzz around her. She feels inspired by the stories shared during the debate. As she scans the room, a soft voice behind her calls her name. Julia? Is that really you? She turns and recognizes Elena, almost in disbelief. Elena! What a pleasure to see you again. The two women embrace. They hadn't seen each other in years since they worked in the same building, one in administration, the other in accounting. I knew you'd find your path, says Elena warmly. When I saw Human AI Workflow Facilitator on a badge, I thought, it has to be our Julia. Julia laughs. It's kind of a ridiculous title, right? But yours isn't far off. Knowledge Augmenter. Now that sounds impressive. I basically interpret the data the AI generates, Elena explains. Who would have thought, huh? Remember the invoices and VAT registers back in the day? Oh yes, far too well. And do you remember how many meetings I organized, how many emails I wrote? Now a virtual assistant takes care of all that. Julia smiles, a mix of nostalgia and relief in her eyes. Not far off, Andrea approaches, recognizing his old colleague. Julia, hey, he greets her, and Julia introduces him to Elena. This is Andrea. We work together on a project now. He used to be in the call center with us, but today he's an immersive experience specialist. Nice to meet you, says Andrea, shaking Elena's hand. I'm fascinated by your role. I think we're kind of doing the same thing. You enrich AI reports. I enrich the customer's experience through AI. Elena nods. Indeed, we all seem to be building bridges between human and artificial. Yeah, agrees Julia. It's like we're a new kind of professional, born within just a few years. Meanwhile, Luca and Samir arrive together, each holding a glass of sparkling wine. Luca notices the badges worn by the trio and smiles at the titles. Sorry to interrupt, he says kindly, but I see we all have interesting job titles on these tags. May I join in? I'm Luca. Julia nods and reads his badge, Coordinator of Automated Logistics Networks. Welcome, Luca. We were just sharing our stories. This is Andrea, and this is Elena. I'm Julia. Nice to meet you all, says Samir beside Luca. His badge reads, Rider Mentor. I'm Samir. Oh, fantastic. 2 more, says Andrea, making space. We were just talking about human AI bridges. I'd say your jobs are perfect examples. We try, replies Luca modestly. I now coordinate more robots than people, but without the people, those robots wouldn't achieve much, believe me. True, adds Samir, laughing. Today I had to teach a drone how to dodge a branch, literally. 10 years ago, I was a cashier in a supermarket. Who would have guessed I'd end up mentoring drones? The others smile. Elena adds gently, I know what you mean. 10 years ago, I was afraid of being replaced by computers. And here I am now, collaborating with them every day. I was scared too, admits Julia, her gaze drifting for a moment into the past. When they started installing digital assistants in the office, I felt useless. Then I discovered there was still a need to coordinate, to organize the flow between humans and automated info. I changed careers. I studied. It turned out to be a blessing. Andrea nods eagerly. I remember those days. At the call center, we used to joke that a robot would take our job, and in the end, it did. But that robot, well, that AI, freed me from a job I didn't love. I got to reinvent myself into something creative. I actually liked my old job, chimes in Luca with his calm voice. I enjoyed meeting people, delivering mail. But today I reach far more people coordinating the whole network. Learning all these systems wasn't easy at first, I'll be honest. I can imagine, says a new voice, Martina, who had been listening quietly next to the group. She couldn't help herself. The stories were too compelling. She steps closer with her glass of water. Her badge reads Adaptive Learning Mentor. Sorry, I was listening. I'm Martina. I teach, or rather, I guide students at a school. I really relate to what you've all said. Julia greets her warmly. Of course. Welcome, Martina. Tell us about you. Martina clears her throat. I used to be a traditional teacher. When AI tech began entering classrooms, a lot of colleagues were scared. Me too, honestly. We thought, what happens to us teachers if software tutors can teach and grade for us? She pauses, then smiles. But over time, I realized my role was still essential. I just had to shift perspective. Today, every student follows a personalized path powered by AI, and I spend my time helping them one-on-one, motivating them, teaching what machines can't. Encouragement, empathy, emotional intelligence. In other words, being human. That's beautiful to hear, says Samir. It's the same for me when I train the younger ones. They can have all the interactive manuals in the world, but nothing reassures them like a well-timed "you've got this." The group nods in agreement. In those minutes, a natural sense of connection has formed, as if they'd known each other for much longer. The initial shyness has faded, and everyone speaks freely, exchanging experiences. They laugh about the now extinct tasks they used to perform and share anecdotes from their new professional lives. There's mutual amazement as they discover details about each other's work. Andrea captivates Martina by describing the virtual worlds he builds. Luca and Julia discuss how to best manage hybrid human-AI teams. Elena and Samir brainstorm about training programs that integrate real-time data into hands-on sessions. After a while, conversations in the hall begin to quiet down. Night is falling. Julia looks at the small new circle of friends and proposes, "Shall we take a photo together? I want to remember this moment." They gather, smiling, their faces close like longtime companions. Martina snaps the photo on her smartphone. No one's in a hurry to leave. There's an unspoken sense that this meeting wasn't a coincidence. "You know," says Elena softly, "tonight I realized that work didn't disappear. It just changed shape. And we're living proof that you can change with it." "Yeah," adds Andrea. "We've all faced the fear of not being useful anymore. But here we are, useful in a different way." "Maybe the meaning of work now is exactly this," reflects Luca aloud. "Adapting, continuing to learn, and always putting something human into what we do, even when working with machines." Martina nods, a flicker of emotion in her eyes. "I always tell my students, no machine can replace human passion and curiosity, and I think we're seeing it right here." Samir raises his glass like a toast. "To passion, then, and to us, who've found it again in these new jobs." The others raise their glasses in a collective clink. Someone says, "To collaboration!" Another replies, "To the future!" And they all laugh. In that toast, there's everything: the effort, the courage, the hope that unites them. That evening, as they step out together into the mild night air of the city, Julia, Andrea, Samir, Martina, Luca, and Elena feel part of something special. They've woven their stories together and discovered they share the same essence. Human beings who've evolved alongside artificial intelligence, finding a new meaning in their work, and facing tomorrow with confidence.